Hello everyone, this is Clicky Power with a PIM shock damage build for Thor. This build does a lot of damage, explaining the two different types of status damage, particles and shock, alongside plasma too at times. I've seen a lot of Thor builds come out recently, and these builds are mostly all glass cannon builds, so they have very little willpower and no damage resistance. Mine, on the other hand, will bring the damage and also survivability so you can get through the end game content like the elite heroic Hive. So you won't have to worry about being one-shotted, and you will be able to take multiple big hits before you have to go heal yourself. Now let's start off with my stats and gear. Stats, I prioritize Might, Efficiency, and Valor. Melee attacks will be your main source of damage, so you have to invest in Might. Proficiency helps our crit chance get higher so we can get more crit damage, alongside upping our perk chances to activate. Valor allows us to do more damage with our heroics and ups our crit damage. Now the secondary stats I picked to invest in were Resolve, Intensity, and Resilience. Resolve and Resilience will keep us in the fight longer due to more willpower and damage reduction, alongside increasing our willpower recovery for this build due to a certain gears we have. Now, Intensity helps Thor inflict status damage faster to enemies at the same time, stuns them faster for takedowns. Thor already has a lot of moves that inflict a lot of stun or status damage. Having Intensity will just increase this further. Okay, now onto the gear. First gear we have is Vampirs of the All-Father. This piece usually comes with Proficiency and Might from the Elite Hives. This gear gives 15% damage increase while Odin Force is active. For my testing of Odin Force, it usually gives you a 10% increase in damage. This gear now increases my damage to 25% on every attack I do with Odin Force. The second perk, Pim Accelerator, is probably the best perk to get from Thor on this gear, and it is because it does Pim particle damage from signature attacks. Using this perk with the Whirling Hammer combo will immediately make enemies tiny. And when enemies are tiny, they take more damage and deal less damage, upping your survivability. But we really want particle damage because after the enemy becomes tiny, they're now going to suffer exploit damage from every attack that is a negative status, like shock. And Thor naturally comes with shock damage due to Odin Force, so when you hit your target with any shock damage attack, the enemy will take double the damage. And remember, while in Odin Force, you already do 25% more damage with this build. So the two standard damage types you want for this gear are Pim Particle or Plasma to get the exploit damage. I haven't seen Plasma yet, but I've gotten a few Pim Particles while getting to level 130. To level 50. The last perk just helps Thor recover willpower, which goes along with Thor's other recovery gear later on. Now the second gear is Adept Graviton Explosion Grip. The first perk has a chance for nearby enemies to float helplessly in the air, upping your survivability because they can't attack you. And the second perk applies more Pim particles to the target, which goes great with shock damage. And the final perk gives a 14.5% chance to become invulnerable while after killing a pinned enemy. And I mostly chose this piece because of the good stats. It has Resilience, Might, and Proficiency. Now we'll go on to the third gear, which will help Thor stay in the game longer by increasing his willpower recovery. This is the Breastplate of the All-Father. With high willpower recovery and the last gear and this current gear, Thor will be able to heal back to full health after a combo, and you won't have to go around looking around the map for region packs. Now the second perk, Odin's Redemption. This pretty much takes the place of one of Thor's specialization sources, Asgardian Fortitude, in one of the skill trees. Asgardian Fortitude and Odin's Redemption, they both reduce the intrinsic energy cost of getting guard broken by 50%, so you won't lose all of your Odin Force meter after failing a dodge from an Adaptoid. And third perk allows us to stay in the Odin Force longer by extending the meter 10%. This gear piece tends to come with Intensity, Resilience, and Resolve. The last gear is Belt of the All-Father, which most of the time comes with Proficiency and Might. The first perk increases our chance to heal while in Warrior's Fury. We are pretty much already armored and almost invulnerable during this time, so it helps when taking Assault Adaptoids or any kind of Adaptoid. And the next perk increases our rate of getting back into Warrior's Fury faster. And the last perk extends your Warrior's Fury for all team members, including yourself, by 3 seconds. And now let's move on to Major Artifact. For my Major Artifact, I chose Tactagon to upgrade. And first because it gives Might and Valor. But then we are really using for the increased damage from the first perk, Routed. This works perfectly for our build. We already do increased damage on small enemies because of pin particle damage. Then we do more damage because of Odin Force and shock damage. Then when combined with when we combine both status damages, we do exploit damage. And then finally with Routed, we do even more damage. And the second perk helps ramp up the second ramp up the status damage meter to get the targets into their weakened state or inflicted state faster, so that Routed activates. And the last perk, what it does is cause an explosion of exploit damage, and it may affect enemies around that enemy who blew up. And lastly, the minor artifacts I have on right now are this ISO 8 that gives me 3 stats of Valor, and it gives me increased damage from heavy combo finishers, and then this orange ISO which gives me 3 stats of Resolve, along with 50% increased stun damage from light combo finishers. Now, if you don't care as much for survivability, you can switch out gear or artifacts for more damage. Like if I would switch out my breastplate for another one, this one has more might, I will get a much bigger boost in damage, but I will lose survivability. As you see, I lost about 2,000 in willpower or health, and my willpower recovery went down, and my armor reduction went down. And I can get my might even higher by putting on this might, so my might is even greater. But again, I do lose more willpower, and I lose a little bit, I think, I just lost willpower. But you see, I become more of a glass cannon build, but I probably do a lot of damage. But if you're going to be doing the last Hive mission, you are going to want to be more survivable after getting hit once or twice or 3 times. Now we're going to move on to our skills. I'm not going to go over primary because we should all know by this by now, and we all get these skills, and we don't have to choose them. So instead, I'll just move on to specialty. So for Warrior's Fury, I pick Humorous Path to give my teammates a 25% damage boost, and then I picked Hell's Anger for the second specialization, which gives me a 25% critical attack damage boost and 10% critical attack chase while Warrior's Fury. But these are interchangeable. If you want to be more of a support build, you can choose something like Yrgurseal's Blessing to heal your team, or you can pick Asgard's Fortune, so you're more likely to get Warrior's Fury. I always change between Asgard's Fortune and Hell's Anger, depending on what I want. If I want to get more orbs, or if I just want to do more damage. Now on to God's Blast. I use Thunderstorm. It gives me 3 God Blast, which works really well with the next heroic ability, but I also just use it to clear out a room really fast, while I also have another God Blast charged up, and it gives me a lot more invisibility things, because now I can use it 3 times. So if I'm being charged at a lot, I can put out a God Blast and still have another God Blast in my pocket. And we have Overcharge Blast, and this is when we're in overcharge state. We do 20% more damage, so this also combos really well with the next heroic ability, Bifrost. So for Bifrost, I picked Volstheim's Torment. So when Thor comes back from the Bifrost, everyone around him will get the burn status effect, and this works perfectly with shock damage, because burn effect is a positive damage and shock damage is a negative, so it causes exploit damage. And then I use Odin's Blessing in the Realm, so when I come back from the Bifrost, I'm automatically overcharged, and like I said, this works really well with God Blast because of the 20% increase in damage, and with the 3 charges, I can spam that right away onto characters with overshields to get their overshields off, or just to do a lot of damage to a room. But remember, all these are interchangeable depending on your playstyle. If you want to be more survival, you can choose instead Outpost Favor, so you can heal yourself and your teammates, or you can choose Asgard's Light, so you heal yourself back when you come back from the Bifrost. It's up to you. Now my mastery skills I picked are melee stun damage to get takedowns faster, combo damage for increased damage to combo finishers, and heroic takedown to get more heroic orbs. And then for the next range tree I picked is critical throw, for the guaranteed crit damage to be timed to throw. When timed correctly, everything about the throw will become a crit. Even when the hammer is on the ground, we use Power of Uru, the lightning strikes will all be crits, and the return of the hammer will also be an automatic crit. To get the automatic crit throw, you throw the hammer as soon as the yellow circle on the screen becomes full. So even though I don't have no precision modifiers as you saw from my stats, I still do a lot of damage just from this critical throw. Then I pick Guard Break to quickly pin down fast annoying enemies like stellar robots or purple phase robots when they become hittable, just so they can't keep running away. And I just use Flying Shots because the other skills in this area pretty much all suck. This first skill will cause you to bounce off everything, even teammates, and the second skill just uses too much Odin Force. Now for the next tree, I picked Ionic Bolts, so when you defeat an enemy, a bolt of lightning will come down hitting all nearby targets. So if you're knocking enemies out one after another, you're going to be doing a lot of damage with these lightning bolts. Then for the next one, I chose Maximum Force just to increase my Odin Force energy. Then the last one of this tree, I picked Surging Force to increase the regeneration of my Odin Force energy by 12%. That last tree skills, I picked Lightning Field. This will shock all enemies around you when overcharged, and even stop projectiles like rockets, so it even works as a defensive shield. Next, but it doesn't do this all the time, sometimes a rocket will get through, but if a lightning does strike the rocket, it won't get hurt. Next we have increased damage resistance by 50% when Odin Force is overcharged. So this does make you more tankable. Then we have a Damage Force, which just increases your damage by 15%. So with all the other effects you're getting from your damage, this just increases your damage even more. Now that is it for the stats, gear, and skills. Now all these can be changed, but I hope this at least gives you a guideline how you want to build your Thor. If you want to be more tanky, maybe take out some Valor and Intensity for more Resolve and Resilience. If you want to be more of a Glass Cannon, take out Resolve and Resilience for more Might and Valor, etc. And now I'm going to show you some gameplay of my Thor on the brutal difficulty of Elite Heroic Hive and another map. So let's get into it.
Every member of the elite team must be defeated. team are no longer a threat.
Avengers? We figured you'd be doing Hill's dirty work.
Taskmaster's mercenaries.
What are they doing here?
Protecting the base, it seems.
Not doing so hot.
They've got backup. We'll keep them busy. Take out their leaders. Once Taskmaster's mercs are gone, they'll force a retreat.
You think a few trucks will help you? Shield is nothing. It will always be nothing.
Sounds like they're getting desperate.
All clear.
Take them out.
As for my Pim Shock Thor build, please leave a like and comment if you like the video and the build, and share this build with your friends or on Reddit. I would really appreciate it, and subscribe if you want to see more Avengers content or gaming content in general. I have several tutorial videos and guides regarding Avengers, so check them out too. Also follow me on Twitch and Twitter for when I'll be online again. Currently I am playing Avengers, Fall Guys, and other older superhero games like PS1 Spider-Man on Twitch. So come by if you want to talk about anything or just hang out in general. My next playthrough will be of the 2002 Spider-Man movie tie-in game. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.